So for now, we can start. Recording is in progress. And for today, there are not so many points in the meeting and not so many points in the agenda because I was honestly really busy this week. And so I tried to create a test, a programmatic test to log in using ORCID ID and to check the ORCID API for the invariant tokens, if they provide or not. Yeah. So actually they do not. And we cannot rely on some tokens as the invariant. So we need to invent a wheel and to define our own invariant section. So yeah, so to me it seems we should use some hash function which should be cryptographically strong, of course. And if you have any experience with this, maybe you would like to share something.
I have not.
Okay, because for now I can only suppose that we can suggest SHA 512 and to use let's say the same technique that was proposed. And for now, for the programmatic test, I also tried to store some data in IPFS and IRO, trying to address Morit's questions from the last meeting. And what I really can share to everyone that the IRO documents seem to be reliable enough.
Okay.
At least we can rely on them storing the user profiles. So yeah, for now, I really need in which I will really in need of help is to implement the user profile itself. Let's say the invariant and optional data. So it should be for sure. It should be something like the JSON structure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, which anyhow would contain the links. As it may contain the links, then we can rely on it linking the data together. So yeah, and the next point is that logging the user in using any time at any time the different token is still possible.
Okay.
So that's could be an invariant, but this invariant should be calculated as it is already written on the concepts and definitions from the let's say third-party persistent identifier. So for example, if we have a user that registers the decentralized one from ORCID, so the cryptographic invariant should be derived directly from ORCID with a prefix, with everything. It doesn't mean that it should contain ORCID, but it should be derived directly from ORCID. Because otherwise we will not have an invariant to derive a token.
And that is when people try to use their to identify. Is that the only option?
Well, for registering the new user from the third-party persistent identifier, if, for example, you can register as you can do with Google, yes, it is. To me, it seems the only way. But the internal invariant will still remain. So registering the new user profile, we must have our own internal representation. But it should be linked with the third-party invariant. or the user profile. Because the user profile, actually what I have extracted from our seed, it's a JSON structure containing ID, let's say some additional identifier like an email, and the token. It's obviously anything from this structure is not an invariant except the PID itself, so or seed itself.
Okay. Do you have something, perhaps a visual aid? I
Let me
have had
see.
the flu for a week, so I'm a bit slow.
Okay, nothing special. I will try to extract it. It is on this machine. It's on this machine. No, it's not here, but I can. I have an example from the ChatGPT,
Yeah.
so I
Okay.
will show it on the screen. Okay. Here we are. Just let me share the screen. Okay. It's actually very short, so it's not, let's say, it doesn't contain something really weird, so we can rely on it. And here is a function which contains actually this structure. So it's, let's say, it's literally not an invariant here because this structure will contain whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That is stuff
afterwards,
you get from Orchid.
yes, and actually I tested something very similar, and I have inside the response, it's a JSON structure containing or
Yeah.
seed itself and the token. And the token
Okay.
is a random number, yeah, depending from the time on which the user tries to log in. So it's a, let's say, last request timestamp. So for doing this, we can register the user, but we cannot calculate an invariant. We can calculate an invariant using only the ORCID itself. But it gives us the advantage because once we have the PID, we can calculate directly from it the invariant.
Okay. I think I'm beginning to understand.
Yeah, really glad to hear this. I also just a sec. Let me stop the screen sharing, and I will drop a message with a link to our conversation to Sergio in case he didn't see it.
Yes, please do.
Okay, okay, I have done. I have done, and also to thank you. So, about the testing for now, it's for sure for now that's all. I did only this test, and for IRO, sadly, I don't have a visual proof because I did it just somewhere in the office. And yeah, so in the random file that I will extract when I will start it again. But let's say it works, and we have at least the Python libraries for everything.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So as soon as I will be able to do, I will share all the results. Yeah, here is. Yeah, so it's for now, for the first point of the agenda, it is somehow all. And the point is SHA 512. Well, it is proven more or less cryptographically, let's say, reliable. So we may try to use it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm thinking
Yeah,
maybe the others would want like a short demonstration on how it works.
of course, but now it's just, let's say, a couple of tests. I just didn't have
Yeah.
had time this. Just didn't have time this week to sew everything
No, no, no,
together.
no, no. Of course not.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm think if I seem distant is because I'm thinking about how this could be incorporated in another project that we are sort of starting to figure out. We were initially planning on using DPIDs, but since that sort of failed, we we still need a way to. What happens if people don't have orchids?
It will be generated the IRO document ID, and
Okay.
from this it will be calculated the hash, and this hash will become invariant.
Okay. So you can still
Yeah,
get it even if you don't have an orchid.
absolutely, absolutely. It may be generated just let's say as SHA 128, and it will work still randomly, or it could be just the identifier in the distributed hash table. But this is what I really don't want to use, because the agent ID, because the agent is a virtual, should be separated from the user ID.
Hmm. Yes.
Because also due to the concept, we all agreed that the exact user ID requires, let's say, recognition once it enters the network, because one user can use a lot of agents.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is
What you?
a, yep.
Yeah, I was just thinking because EOSC is implementing their sort of AAI to use my access ID, um, as is EuroHPC. So
Uh, well,
is
it
that something
depends.
that we could use?
Well, if the identifier is somehow persistent, we can calculate the invariant based on it. So we can register the user. Just absolutely, we have an opportunity to register the new user.
That should
Uh,
hopefully be very persistent because from what I heard, they are planning on allowing people to use like their personal SSO from their university, the EU wallet thing where you get your ID from.
yeah, if it is a wallet, then this wallet could contain the private key.
Yeah, good.
Once it contains the private key, then we have absolutely no problem. We can derive the key, let's say, depending on the standard in which this private key is developed. But it's not actually, it's not an our task. We will define the token, or we will obtain the token and define an invariant based on the persistent token, and that's all.
Yes, and you can use
So
that even if you're a completely new user, if you have never been on the internet before.
actually, yes, because all the technical details are already hidden. And what
Yeah,
I have
I,
done
I
to
I was
what
sort of visualizing it myself, so I
actually, I what I have done, I defined the fake callback point on my own experimental server,
Okay.
To extract, yes, to extract the, let's say, temporary exchange token URI from our seed. And that's all. The redirection is done automatically, and the application may just rely to the secondary server. So the only thing we need is somehow the web server and the encrypted channel, which we already have it.
Okay. That sounds reasonable. Do you think you could have like sort of a diagram or
Yes, if I would spend another 3 hours, I would have it.
yeah,
Uh,
there's no hurry, but I would like to convince some people on my side that this is a good idea. And then
yes,
say,
that's a good point. That's a good point. So I will try to do it. I will try to do it.
yeah, that would be very appreciated.
Yes, yes, and this because after this test will become more or less successful. The second task, which much bigger that we should solve, is implementation of the cells in the distributed hash table.
Yes, that
Because
is
yeah, because
yeah.
actually the cells in the distributed hash table are the agent IDs. So the agent connects the distributed hash table. It's, let's say, perfectly inconvenient to visualize because it's a multi-dimensional space.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but the key point here is that the agents will exchange the messages despite encrypted or not, because if the message is sent to someone that should recognize you, it is encrypted for sure. But if the message is open, it will be unencrypted and everyone could be able to read it.
Yeah, that's a good point because you want your credentials to be hidden as much as possible, but you still want the document to be as visual as possible. Visible, I mean.
Uh,
So that you can.
Sorry? Yes, yes, of course. Yes, of course.
So there's two completely different layers to this, and I'm thinking, how would you show that to a person who is in charge of university but doesn't know IT?
Let's say, let's let him to understand that the first layer, which contains the persistent data, which
Yep.
contains invariants, everything. It is literally the persistent layer. So it is stored anywhere and nowhere, and it contains the data, the metadata themselves.
Yep.
But yes, but the DHT and whatever passes through the DHT is it's not even non-persistent. Moreover, it's temporary environment in which the agent enters, recognizes, let's say, discloses the identity of the user, being recognized, and then start exchanging the messages.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and this,
that is
yeah,
actually probably only needed when you're minting your PID or when you're sort of
no, no,
updating it.
no. This layer we always need to understand what part of the entire address space the agents store.
Oh, yes, yes.
Because
Sure, sure.
once you are requesting the realm, you will be obliged to
Yes.
download and to store the part of this realm.
Yeah, yes. It wouldn't be distributed if you just looked at it from afar.
Exactly, exactly.
You have
Or
to. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and
I
after studying the baseline DHT from the BitTorrent network, I discovered that we cannot rely on just whoever who just downloaded the part of the address space, because
why not?
because this part of the address space could be just non-convenient for being downloaded. If you would have, for example, 1 billion of records with the metadata, and you will use the principle like in BitTorrent, you should download it completely and perform the
Yes.
search by yourself. Let's say, speaking honestly, it is still possible. It's still doable, but I have some experience exploring some federated but actually not distributed projects, like the libraries.
Yeah. And
And
yeah,
yeah, and
I
these
see your point here.
Yeah,
That's
and these libraries, once you are downloading the part of the library in which you have your document, then you are downloading around 1 gigabyte of data, but you should perform the full text search within this 1 gigabyte. So you will spend a lot of time doing tokenization.
yes, for
Yeah, yeah, for the
yeah.
metadata. To avoid this, the only way is to split the address space in the, let's say, smaller parts. But they should not be the chunks, because the chunks on which the data are split in the BitTorrent network, they don't contain any information about how the data are stored.
No, that's not their job.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
we need a
In
completely new
our
type.
Yeah, in our case, it should be the blocks containing the metadata.
How large would you say that a block could get?
Well, actually it's snapped to the side, so the size of a cell in the distributed hash table. So it's a 64 kilobytes.
64. Yeah, that's reasonable for all.
Yeah, that's reasonable because it could be easily transferred in one network packet, and it's not a jumbo packet.
Yeah, and you could, because I think thinking about what is happening in places where you don't have immense bandwidth is a good thing. I think that we need to be able to distribute this to not only HPC centers but everyone.
Exactly. This is what I'm thinking about. And in my opinion, it should be really a simple and linear system from the point of view of a single user. So you are sending a message, getting recognized,
That is
and yes, and you have received in the single response, you will receive the whole metadata of the part of the realm you should download. Afterwards, after
yes.
your client downloads this part of the realm and uh, just reports the information that I have downloaded it and that I'm starting seeding it, you are all set.
Yeah.
You may just withdraw metadata and then try to use them as you can.
Yeah. I have a maybe you have done this test already, but what happens when you have like I don't know 500 million places where you have potentially your data stored since it's nowhere and everywhere. I mean, if it
Uh,
gets really popular, then you would have a lot of places where your
uh,
data could end up. Is that
well, it's
just it
it's
just
it's really,
it
yeah.
could be just that that is really good because now it's easy to find. It could also be that you get a lot of traffic just to find out.
Uh, yes and no, because here is actually a task of a network status consensus, and our task, let's say, as a developer of a PID ecosystem, is to avoid the situation when someone tries to populate in our ecosystem within our ecosystem the malicious metadata. So
Yes.
to do that, yes, to do that, everyone who reports that I download a part of the realm and I should dissipate it, I should store it somewhere and nowhere, he will report the hash table of the part of a realm. Once anyone tries to download this part of a realm from him, at first he requests the hash table. And once this hash table will not be populated by anyone other, let's say in the closest part of the network,
Okay.
it should not be, it should not be downloaded. So only the small part of the network is visible by the single user for a moment.
Okay, so okay. I see. So in the graph of the network, you can see only so far ahead, so to say.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Actually,
you in the worst case scenario, you would have a small part that is sort of hidden at the maximum distance. So you need to go
exactly.
a lot of places. But that would be solved if you had more places, because the probability of you finding your chunk would be increased. So I think this would
Yes.
scale well with the number of participants.
Yes, and this task is already solved in IPFS. So once you have some chunk of data somewhere, then the more participants you have, the more the probability is to find it.
Good, good.
Yeah, also in Aero, Uh, and let's say probably the main point that I have discovered during this test is the metadata itself could not be considered as the part of an invariant, let's say at all,
Yeah.
because the people want to change their metadata, let's say
Mm.
at a glance and at a full scale from for example, ORCID.
Yeah, I agree that I mean your identity, no matter where you get it from, should probably be less mutable than the metadata, because the metadata is probably the place where you will forget stuff, where you would want to add stuff, where you get stuff later. So yeah, that
Yes, and also, for example, even the identity could change. So the
good.
most persistent object we have here is the PID itself. Once we
Yes.
don't have a mathematically proven invariant, then we have only this.
Yeah. Even
This
the
is why.
data is actually less persistent if you
Sorry,
think
what?
about it. Even the data should be less persistent, because there could be some error correction that you would want to absolutely sort of replace your data with.
Of course, for
That
this,
is, I think that's good thinking. That's the only thing that we actually can use is the PID itself.
yes, yes, because once once we don't have an algorithm to, let's say, in plausible and transparent way regenerated from some mathematical invariant in the metadata, then it's the only persistent object in the whole ecosystem.
Yeah. So it the, yeah, generate anything, since you only have that part being the only truly persistent thing.
Uh, well, yes, yes. Once you have a hash, more or less, let's say, more or less collision-less on our amount of numbers we are considering for.
Yeah, that's true. If you have a
Yeah.
hash and the PID, you could actually recreate that the part that was hashed at least.
Yes, and there is a cryptographically strong method that you can derive the private key on it, but actually we cannot
Oh,
derive a private key from anything containing the public profile.
no, that sounds like a sort of security hole.
Yeah. Yes, yes. But let's say the security, we should, let's say, security, we should think about what we should think about by design, because otherwise uh, it will be pretty easy to steal the identity.
Yes, and that is the the sort of stability of data and the identity being um, protected, I think, are
Well, the
you need to
identity
be
is
able to.
protected. Yeah, yeah. The identity is protected as strong as if you don't want to disclose some data as they are encrypted, if it is stored in the open network. Then, yeah, then the
Because
users
I
should.
think that when you sort of give your data to a journal for publishing and giving a DOI and something like that, you're sort of always counting on no one else trying to do that in your name.
Yes, and you always trust to some third-party identity provider that can prove
Definitely.
yours. Yeah, that can prove yours for the journal itself.
Yes.
This is why, yeah, when I remember the situation in which we were working with Zoom in 2020, I cannot forget the let's say the groups of actually the school children driven by someone else really experienced, but they were stealing the session IDs from Zoom and
Yeah.
injecting the code directly into the Zoom stream.
Yeah,
Just because, the
that
Zoom invariant, the Zoom invariant that time was integrated in the URI.
yes, it was.
Yeah. So,
But you're saying
yeah,
that it isn't anymore.
it is not. For now, it is not. So this
That
method
is
is.
okay. I didn't know that they had actually fixed that.
Oh, I may tell you just let's say, just let's say 1 minute story about. I was working in the Expanse project, and we were attacked by literally the Russian so-called hackers, but actually it
Okay.
was the school children, and someone just gave them a key, session key. They invaded the session and tried to worse on the screen, tried to animate the, let's say, the pictures over our screens, and it was done literally in one click. So this is how the invariants are working.
Yeah. Okay. That's it sounds like it should be hard. It isn't.
Yeah, it's really hard reason. So what, as assuming that our user will behave more or less in the same manner, then we should also assume that once the user doesn't want to disclose something, he will not do.
No, and that should be perfectly fine.
Yes, at least it's fair enough. We should
Yes.
not work like, let's say, the identity safety providers, like it is done in the state identity providers. I'm
No,
living in
we
Italy,
have
so
the sort of third leg of this is that it should be lightweight.
yes, yes,
And I
and
think you have done a really good job of actually implementing stuff in a way that doesn't take a lot of bandwidth. It's not gigabytes to download, and I like the 64K chunks. That should be a good
yeah, the
feature.
thing is, the data themselves will not be transferred using DHT. Only the part of the metadata. So then, from the decentralized backend, you will download your JSON structure.
Yeah. But when you know where the data is, that's probably just like
You don't even need this because in the decentralized network, the client will do it for you.
yes, but that will be the easy part. Where
Yes, it will be the easiest, probably the easiest part. Ah, Sergio is here.
Sergio is
I
here.
will.
That's great.
He probably. I will now write to him because he's asking that. He's asking that the meeting is at 20 minutes, so probably they changed the time.
Oh,
Yeah, it is still Central European time, so me and Jonas.
we have been talking for 40 minutes.
Yes.
We should actually use UTC. That
Yes, it
doesn't
will.
change.
But let's say the calendar sends the data in the also in the UTC, so it's could be easily converted.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so I now asked the asked Sergio. It is now
Yeah, I think that
17.
every country should use UTC plus or minus.
Actually it does. Actually it does.
So you have no summertime?
No, I will have it next week.
Okay, so you do have summertime.
Yeah,
UTC doesn't. That's
UTC does not. Yes, UTC does not.
that is why I think that everyone should use UTC. I mean, like on a country level, so that we don't have to put 1 hour in and get
Yeah,
back in
yeah,
the.
but the problem here, it will be the huge problem for people to understand it about the data. So it's
Yeah,
yeah, okay. So I hope that Sergio will be able to connect.
but if we need
Yeah,
timestamps within the PIDs, we should probably use UTC.
of course. Of course, it will be used in the unified manner. I think it will be in ISO
Yeah,
UTC. Yeah,
yeah.
and this,
Okay, that's great.
yeah, yeah, and it should be as standard as we can define. Because what I am really striving to do is to store everything in, let's say, most standard and compliant manner. For example, using only the standard library of Python.
Yeah,
Because once we are using the standard library, then we will not use anything that comes beyond the common standards of at least of programming.
yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Lightweight, standardized, uh, as secure as needed, and as open as possible. That is a mixture of fair and security and everything. But I think that we've
Uh,
covered most,
yeah, and
if not all.
to be honest, the only thing for which the timestamps will be used is the generation of random numbers to encrypt and decrypt the message, to add the salt, to add the, let's say, second part authentication code and the parity codes. So to be honest, I don't really want to rely on this too much. But as it is implemented in the standard algorithms, it's fine. It will
Yeah,
be used, and that in this case, it will be for sure use the UTC.
yep, good.
So, so I asked Sergio to connect once he will be able. Probably he will be able in 10-15 minutes because he's on the training session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's on a training session. So we may also, uh, this is this is what I really want to ask also you about some. conferences we can participate in? Do you have something?
Yeah. I am going to the Elixir All Hands in Greece in June, uh, which I think it's not like life science is our biggest use case, but it's the use case that I care the most about. So it could be something, I guess.
Yep.
But maybe you're thinking about conferences uh, in uh, in the autumn
Yeah.
because we
Uh,
or what do you have in mind? Do you want to get this on a bigger scale?
yes, yes, if you
I
can,
know
and
that
also,
Lars is going to that I think it is in the fall. He is going to Australia for some
yeah,
worldwide conference in like probably sensitive data and stuff like that, which is also something that we might want to make it easy for people to gate their data so that even if you can find the data, you don't actually have access to the data via PID.
yeah, yeah, and because for now it is becoming really a problem, and this is what Sergio wrote to me that he just completed the article he spoke about on the last session, and he was able to connect. So maybe we would have something to present on the conference in Ca' Foscari University.
Yeah,
Yeah. So once he would be able to connect, I asked him
yeah.
to make a brief presentation.
I'm getting a phone
Let's
call.
say,
Just sorry for.
okay, okay, please do it. I will pause the network recording, prolong the net the prolong now the recording.
Yeah,
I have no permission from Sergio to share the article with someone else, so I will not share the screen right now. Yeah, and this is the article about the persistent identifiers. As I see, is in my poor understanding of Spanish, written is in really a philosophical way.
okay.
Yeah, so I will dedicate a bit of time to translate at least a part of it.
Yeah, my Spanish is also not that great.
Ah, for me, it's really poor. Actually, there it is derived from Italian. I have learned for these years
I have actually
Italian.
studied Spanish, so for me it's usually the other way around. I try to.
Okay, so I will ask Sergio if I'm able to share the article with you.
Yeah, but I got to the point where I could like read comics and stuff like that in Spanish, but it's that was a long time ago.
Okay, anyhow, it's great. Anyhow, it's great. So just now to recall whatever, let me share for short time the screen. Okay, okay, I have the permission from Sergio,
Good.
and I will send to you on Mattermost now
Yeah.
the article. Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
I
You will have it in a second, and now I
I
will
have already
again.
opened it.
Perfect. I share again the screen, and this is a conference in the Ca' Foscari University.
Okay.
So in the conference program section, this is a cultural heritage section on which we can perfectly commit. And the complex systems section on which we can also commit.
Yes.
So we have two topics. Yeah, we have two topics.
So all the others they are more or less, yeah, they
Yeah,
are just scientific subjects.
yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So,
It could be included. I mean, machine learning is also quite close to it.
but we don't correspond on it. We don't correspond to it, let's say, in any way, because once we are just identifying the data, the only thing we could propose here is identification and let's say sharing of the data sets, but it's not our task.
Maybe not, but I think that the sharing of data sets that are uh, good for machine learning will be a larger industry in the future.
Yes, but anyhow, for now, we are not striving to solve this kind of task. Maybe building the knowledge graph, yes, as Slava once explained, and what he's doing right now. For
Yeah.
this, yes, but for machine learning itself, well, I don't think that we will not in time, in some time, rely not be connected on it. But I think we should not mention it as our topic right now.
Yeah, true. That is, yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
but for these two topics, we are perfectly fine.
Yeah, complex systems is
So,
really close, I would say, because it's.
yeah.
And what was the other?
The other is cultural heritage.
Cultural heritage. Yeah, sure. So we are thinking that it is uh, adjacent to that because we no why cultural heritage? Is it because we are trying to make data easier to preserve and find?
Uh, because we are striving to share the data about the heritage in the unified manner. For example, now as we have in, let's say, the most known point is a Library of Congress that discloses the papers and the books, scanned copies of books digitized from, let's say, uncategorized metadata from the paper catalogs.
Yeah.
We can easily play a role there, sharing that, let's say, as we have an arbitrary format for the metadata, sharing the catalog, the images as the keys, for example. Once
I
we
see.
have an
Yeah.
image and we have a hash as an invariant, then we have a catalog map, and we may share it.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
OCR,
I agree
the
that is.
OCR, yes, the OCR and something that would be done over this metadata, this kind of metadata is, let's say, for the future.
Yeah. So
And it is, yeah,
in a way, we are
once,
aiming to become a cultural heritage.
let's say,
No, I'm
the
kidding.
preservation, the sharing ecosystem,
Yeah.
not the preservation ecosystem. We can do something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So I think because the deadline is 31st of March and today is 25th, uh, we would we would try to write something. Will you be able to contribute?
Um, to writing something, perhaps, but this is July. I think I'm on vacation that week, but
Well, about the presentation I may do because Kafoskari is actually 2 hours by train from me.
okay, so that is good.
Yeah, it's not any our problem, and
Yeah,
I don't
but
really.
having like making a presentation, I can probably contribute a bit. At least I can. What I'm good at is usually making informative images.
I really appreciate this. I really appreciate this because it's not my strongest side, and my slides are always filled with some texts.
Yeah, I can make them beautiful. Uh,
Uh,
so that is what I usually do when we prepare uh, demonstrations and talks like this. Is that someone is writing the text and I am doing the graphics.
yeah, it would be really a good thing to do.
Yeah,
And yeah, and thus it is let's say it's high level, but it's not let's say so narrow area conference. I think it would be anyhow useful to present a concept project.
yeah.
Yeah, this is actually without this, I will not I would not like to present it here.
No, 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 no. But what is the deadline for the abstract submission?
Abstract submission is 31st, so it's the end of this week.
Oh, that is pretty close.
Yes, it's pretty close because actually
Okay.
31st is Monday.
Yes. So I mean, today is Tuesday. So
25th, yeah, Tuesday. Oh, here is Sergio.
Hello, hello.
hello,
Hello,
Sorry
hello.
for
hello. Yes, no, absolutely no worries. And Jonas, may you excuse me that I would repeat for Sergio what I said to you by the very beginning in a couple of phrases.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No problem.
So just to let Sergio know, I had a test with ORCID, so I will share now the some code. It's what I have started with. It's ORCID authorization test. I was
mm-hmm.
exploring the authorization tokens from ORCID API, and I was writing actually a very small test about how to register the new user using ORCID if the end user wants, and could it be used as an invariant or not. And what I have discovered that it's not an invariant actually, because the actual access token from the ORCID API, and I suppose any open authorization 2.0 token is dependent from the current timestamp. But we could use the PID itself that is already written in the concepts and definitions. We can use the PID itself as an invariant if we need to generate the internal invariant for the user from the third-party PID. And also, I was trying to store some data in metadata in IRO and IPFS, and to explore how the metadata from the user profile will be stored. And let's say using the concept of the specification of OAI documentation you shared the last session, it seems really plausible to just share the JSON structure with arbitrary links, which could be just resolvable in the terms of the currently selected decentralized backend. For the backend and for start right now, IRO seems really feasible because it provides the document ID, which should be easily connected with an invariant we already have. So what I need to define now, and after this I will share all the code, is the OpenDHT messaging layer for the recognition of agent ID correlated with currently logged in or registered user. Because for this, I didn't have time this week. I was really busy. So this is a first point of our agenda. And afterwards, we just started discussing the security things and the publicity things because we have the upcoming deadline for this conference in Kafmoskari. And yeah, and this is for me, it will be really easy to make a presentation because it's 2 hours by train for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so these, let's say very briefly, what we have discussed until you have connected. So for now, I will share again this screen.
I had the invitation. For me, it's very hard to go, but for you, it will be easy. And I think it will be a good starting point because it's open the proposals. Let me see.
I will stop now screen sharing. You can share yours.
No, it's okay. CSV conference will be in Bologna.
Perfect. Now, do you have a link?
I will send it to you.
Okay.
I think it's very suitable when this cultural we can present it there because also you did your paper about the museum galleries and the persistent identifier as a tool for that. But the CSV conference is very much.
Oh, and it is in September, so it should be more or less feasible.
Yeah, but until the April they are taking
talk proposals.
You can submit talks. Yeah. You found the web page already.
Yes, I have found the web page, and I will now share the link on the chat.
I think it's very important. It's a good place to present.
Yes, yes, it seems so.
Actually, because 2 years ago, this conference was held here in Buenos Aires, and in parallel, we had the Pit Fest.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to know, I am now searching for it, is the commissioning conditions, because it seems that
something
we should know about the registration fee.
Maybe if you get accepted, you don't need to pay.
Okay. So I will ask the organizers. I will then ask the organizers directly. Yeah, because there is a Slack community, and there should be also the CSV conference on LinkedIn. So later I will write to them a message. Yeah. Yes, so yeah, for me, for now, literally that's really all. Do you have any news from your side?
Well, I just finished my paper yesterday. Let's see, I didn't have the feedback yet. But it was very interesting to read. You know, this there is the mail archive of the Internet Task Force.
Internet Task Force. Yes, I know about the initiative, but I never had a look on the email archive.
Well, they have an email archive that is very interesting. And I did some research there, and I found, for example, that the the DOI
Yeah.
before it was created, the publishers they were it was started by the publishers, the editorial companies, because the NIH was going to release the paper they published for free, and they rushed to have a persistent identifier so they can keep charging people for the copyrighted materials.
Oh yeah.
So they rushed to create, and it was very business oriented from the beginning, and it's very clear in the mail they sent. We are the publishers. We want to keep the record. It's not a tool for open access, and it will never be. This is
Yeah.
something we have to know very much.
Yeah.
Use it,
This is
but
what.
it's not. Maybe you can say the same with the ISBN.
Of
It was never
course.
meant for librarians or it's always a business oriented,
Well, and in terms
But
of
also,
ISSN, yeah, in terms of ISSN, it's even more.
yeah, but we can use it. It's not harm, but the harm is that you have to pay for it. I mean, and sometimes for us, DOI is really a paywall in the global south.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I did it's not an investigation. It's very obvious the actual vertical relation with all the persistent identifier infrastructure. DOI and the DOI Foundation has they have ROR, they have ORCID, everything, like they have handle as well through the DONA Foundation, and the same guy who is in charge of Crossref is in every board of the persistent identifier. So one person is in every board.
How natural it is.
Yeah. So there is not it's not the of persistent identifiers out there that we are a community of open. It's actually very few people deciding the policies and the strategies regarding the persistent identifier infrastructure. And that's what I wrote.
Yeah, it's really a perfect point.
I will get a lot of friends. I will wait my love letters coming my way.
And really, what I really want right now is to have Tibor to address this thing because he will be really happy.
Yeah. I saw I put the name of the person because it's public information. It was not like
So it's
harassing or
completely
anything.
open. Yeah, it's completely open, and the mailing list was open, so there is nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. It's for me, it's really a good point and good information.
Yeah, and the paper came out quite good. I like storytelling, so went from the beginning with the back and forth mailing with the Tim Berners-Lee saying that the URN should be the standard and that it should be persistent, and they discussed that no, it's URI and URL, better not to make it so persistent, so the weak link will help the web to grow faster.
Well, with this, I
there
could
was
agree.
decisions taken at those decisions were taken at that time, and it was okay. But he was overthinking that some persistency should be there, and those who raised the need for persistency at the beginning were librarians, where this PURL, the persistent URL from the OCLC, the librarians from the computer library. But then even they couldn't. The PURL was DNS dependent. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Handle in the other side is a good principle, and handle works because it's decentralized. But the thing is that the governance of the registry is centralized. So it could be decentralized if the registry is open for any, but the Dona Foundation holds the table for registration.
Yeah, well, the main point here is even moreover, that the bespoke identifier they use to formulate the PID itself, let's say it's not transparent. So it could not be deducted from the nature or from the content of the data. So you have no chance to regenerate it. Then you are in need of the external invariant. And once you are in need of external invariant, then it's let's say obliged to be somehow federated but not decentralized.
Yeah, but the variant is by it could be in the handle. It's not only DOI that can you can use the proxy for.
Yes, but I mean just a mathematically proven invariant. Yeah, because otherwise, yeah.
And I found these papers from this group. Maybe you read it already. The Golodinyuk Pavel.
Pavel Golovnyuk. Okay, I didn't hear about him. If you may share the link, it would be really interesting.
Yeah. They have a persistent identifier, decentralized persistent identifier, like task force or something that they were working, and they came out with this. Let me see. For concept to evaluate.
Okay, I read this article, but it was mentioned only by the authorship of Jens Klamp. With Pavel, yes, with Pavel Golodanyuk, it was not actually associated. So yes, it's on Codata, and I don't remember if we have referenced it somewhere. Perhaps yes. Perhaps yes.
He talks about peer-to-peer.
Yes, because this is what I also explained it now to Jonas, because what is based on the distributed hash table is a magnet link, because magnet link actually shares the, let's say, the pre-built hash of the data, which could be shared as an entry point on any cell within the distributed hash table. So it's let's say what I was studying in the mainstream DHT from the BitTorrent. Yeah, and yes, it's feasible. It could be used, and also on the OpenDHT, it's used in the same manner, but it's differently called, and it contains still the arbitrary data.
And this other article that was also this group was also there. Let me check. They had this 4 points of evaluation of persistent identifier, 4 pillars. So identifier in independence. I will send you the link.
Okay. Because
This
perhaps
is good to have
yes,
in our biography, bibliography.
Ever-changing technology. Yes, I saw this article. And this is about the trustworthiness in the world of persistent identifiers. So let's say I consider them.
Yes.
I consider it
It's
very
like a
good in the
test.
philosophical point of view. Yes.
Yeah, it's like a test. So we develop our proof of concept, but we can before we can pass it through this. Okay, it's identifier independence, deliver essential PID functions, separation from data delivery, and employing policies for charge. And it's quite well explained. So I found it interesting.
Yes, it's quite well explained. And if I remember well, I also may reference this paper in one of my previous works for the Expanse project. So it could be that time it was already referenced even before the boom of decentralized technologies just emerged.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And here, actually it was on what Eric was based when he was explaining the concept of persistence. If Jonas, if you remember, so yeah, it's a good foundation. And I think we should, if we would like to write an article for the conference, we should reference these articles.
Yeah, maybe we should write for both conferences, or we wait a bit more how the pilot is working.
I think we may try with Ka Foscari, and after the initial discussion, which would take place in Mattermost, because the only time I would dedicate to write an abstract is this Saturday. So I will try to do my best and to write.
I'm free now. I can maybe scribble something and send it to you.
Yes, if you are able to do, please do it. But I really kindly asking you to do it on the Google Doc.
Okay.
And to share the link. But please don't place it in the folder on DPID, because it is also accessible by this Sci Foundation.
Okay. So I use my own. I share with
you.
Use
please your own link.
Yeah. I can use CryptoPad if you want. I don't know if you like CryptoPad?
Yes, I like it, but I think most of us are more convenient with Google Docs, because it's just, let's say, faster collaboration. So it's
Okay.
just
So
a little faster.
I put the public link. I send it to you and to Jonas. You want it as well?
Yes, please.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it will be
So I just send it by
ideal
mail.
way. Yes, yes, on the mail,
Sure.
and we will do, yeah, and we will do. Also, you may also take the in the CC Lars.
CC Lars.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
in the copy
Yes.
field,
Lars.
Lars,
Yes.
and I will forward this email to Inna, the Russian colleague.
In Mattermost, the email addresses are there. No.
Uh, yes, yes, you may open the user profile. Yes, open the user profile, click on the photo, and you will see the email.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it will be perfect. And now, because we have only 10 minutes now, I booked a room for 1 hour and a half.
Yeah.
I should.
Sorry.
No, please don't worry. No worries. I would like to stop the recording and to tell something out of the record.